from Genesis chapter 4. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. And the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desires contrary to you, but you must rule over it." Cain spoke to Abel his brother, and when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where's Abel your brother?" He said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? It's not my problem." So God was warning Cain not to be consumed by his anger. And the truth is that, as the divine principle explains, the Cain type ideology has spread to the worldwide level. And so the Cain type ideology that tries to feed people's hatred and resentment is communism and Islamism. These are two brother ideologies. Communism doesn't believe in a God, but it believes in hatred. And the original model was, the capitalists are oppressing the workers, okay? And then in the 20th century, they revised their model, and they chose to focus on racial issues and other issues. And Islam actually has the same attitude towards Jews and Christians. And so here I wanted to share this perspective. Yeah, as the second king has said, Cain cares about power and wants to essentially annihilate his opponent. So if you have light skin, you are a settler colonialist, you enjoy white privilege. If you have dark skin, but agree with the teachings of Jesus about repentance and forgiveness, then you are an Uncle Tom and you are a pawn of white people. If you are Arab, but you want to live in peace, then you are a Jew lover and a collaborator and a traitor to the Muslim cause. So Abel wants to bring about unity. Now the trouble with Abel is that he can be kind of naive, because Abel doesn't think all the time about seizing power. He wants to have a relationship with God. He wants to have a relationship with the people that he loves. Those are things that Abel tends to think about. But also, Abel has a conscience. And so his weak point can be that Cain-type people can analyze and guilt shame Abel, all right? Because Cain is very good at accusing and manipulating, and that's what we'll be talking about today. I think you'll soon see why I'm talking about this. Okay, let me go back. Okay. So here we have the heads of 3 top U.S. colleges who refuse to say that calling for the genocide of Jews is harassment. Now, these are college presidents who will persecute you if you use the wrong pronoun, but they don't give a crap if you go around saying that Jews should be genocided. If Jews have to hide in their dorm rooms or in the library because there are people, hundreds of people outside the library saying that they should be murdered, okay? This is the type of insanity that we're living in, and it shows this Cain-type ideology has taken control over many universities in America and in around the world. And of course, we need to understand that, people say, oh, there are all these people protesting against Israel, the Hamas are victims, fighting for liberation. Well, many of the groups that are behind these demonstrations are getting money from George Soros. okay, and other billionaires who have bought into one world globalist tyranny and have an anti-American agenda. And we'll be talking about that today. And here we have Yasser Arafat, the founder of the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO. And, you know, he's portrayed as a great liberator of the Arabs who lived in the area called Palestine. It was never a nation before. Yasser Arafat connections to the KGB. And this article was by a KGB officer in Romania who defected to the United States. So let me read his article and see what he has to say. Before I defected to America from Romania, leaving my post as chief of Romanian intelligence. Yeah, so he worked with the KGB, but he's actually the chief of communist Romanian intelligence. I was responsible for giving Arafat about $200,000 in laundered cash every month throughout the 1970s. I also sent 2 cargo planes to Beirut each week, stuffed with uniforms and supplies. Other Soviet bloc states did much the same. I was given the KGB's personal file on Arafat. He was an Egyptian bourgeois turned into a devoted Marxist by KGB foreign intelligence. The KGB had trained him as its Balashika special ops school east of Moscow, and in the mid-1960s decided to groom him as the future PLO leader. First, the KGB destroyed the official records of Arafat's birth in Cairo, replacing them with fictitious documents saying that he'd been born in Jerusalem and was therefore a Palestinian by birth. The KGB's disinformation department then went to work on Arafat's 4-page tract. Okay, let me skip that. All right, hold on. Arafat was an important undercover operative for the KGB. Right after the 1967 Six-Day Arab-Israeli War, Moscow got him appointed to chairman of the PLO. Egyptian ruler Gamal Abdel Nasser, a Soviet puppet, proposed the appointment. In 1969, the KGB asked Arafat to declare war on American, quote, imperial Zionism during the first summit of the Black Terrorist International, a neo-fascist pro-Palestine organization financed by the KGB and Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. It appealed to him so much, Arafat later claimed to have invented the imperial Zionist battle cry. But in fact, quote, imperial Zionism was a Moscow invention, a modern adaptation of the protocols of the Elders of Zion, and long a favorite tool of Russian intelligence to foment ethnic hatred. The KGB also always regarded anti-Semitism plus anti-imperialism as a rich resource of anti-Americanism. In March 1978, I secretly brought Arafat to Bucharest for final instructions on how to behave in Washington. Quote, you simply have to keep on pretending that you'll break with terrorism and that you will recognize Israel. Over and over and over, Ceausescu told him for the umpteenth time. And then explains that Mr. Pacepa was the highest ranking intelligence officer ever to have defected from the former Soviet bloc. And he's the author of Red Horizons, published by Regnery in 1987. And he's finishing a book on the origins of current anti-Americanism. So, look, we need to understand and realize that things are not what they appear, okay? Liberation groups, in this case, are invented by the KGB. And when we look more closely at what's going on in the Middle East, it has nothing to do with establishing a Palestinian state. The PLO had several opportunities to actually become an independent Palestinian state. Israel offered them 95% of what people call the West Bank and Gaza, and the PLO rejected the offer and then launched an intifada the next day. Okay, that was in 2000. That was in the Camp David peace accords. So, and there are other opportunities as well. The leaders of the PLO, the leaders of Hamas are billionaires who live in Qatar. They don't give a damn about the people living in Gaza. The people of Gaza are victims, but not of Israel. They're victims of communists and Islamists who do not give a damn about the people, do not care about them. And their leaders benefit by prolonging the never-ending intifada. It never ends because they can get billions from guilty Americans and East European Union and the United Nations and other countries, and keep their scam going. Keep their scam going. All right. Now, I know that some of you do not believe me, so let me show you a video. I was not going to show this video because it is a little bit hard to watch, but I have to show this to you because you don't believe me. Okay, so let's watch this together. And this video it's hosted by an Israeli Christian, Amir Sarfati. He's a Christian who lives in Israel.
The headquarters are. We know where they're hiding. Therefore, if you don't want to get hurt, leave and move to the south. Unfortunately, Hamas did the tactics that Hamas is doing, which is using their own people as human shields. And if they move, then they shoot to kill. Take a look at what one of the roads before we managed to secure the area for the people of Gaza to move south. Take a look at what happened to those who tried to leave northern Gaza down south, and Hamas saw them. And look what Hamas did to the people. This is someone who was riding a motorcycle along the main road. Look at them. Bodies of children, of women, of men, all of them, some of them are holding white flags because they wanted to leave. All of this, by the way, you can clearly see there is no sight of air assault or anything. This, we all know that they did it. In fact, not only we know, even Arab reporters know that. Even Mahmoud Taha, look at what the journalist from the UK, the Arab journalist from the UK, take a look at what he wrote in his Twitter account, knowing exactly who did what. He is very well connected. And you can, I don't know if we have that photo of the tweet of what he said, but if we don't, I'll just read it to you because this is quite phenomenal. That's what he actually said. He said, breaking news just now, Hamas snipers have reportedly, and this is Amjad Taha. It's a very well-known British, Arab British journalist with millions of followers. He said, Hamas snipers have reportedly killed dozens of children and women on the streets, targeting those attempting to travel from north to south Gaza and those displaying white flags as a sign of peace. Similar acts have previously been attributed to Palestinian and Hezbollah terrorists in Syria. They do not want civilians to leave. They want to use them as human shields and kill anyone who attempts to leave. Hamas terrorists in Gaza will, as usual, blame Israel because it is easy and there is media that accepts this propaganda. Well, it wasn't really that hard for us to prove that we didn't do it. We were just not there. And this is exactly what brought us to have this heavy bombardment that night in order to completely secure that area, move in with our tanks and with our own ground forces, and take a look at what happened when we clear the area from Hamas terrorists and we manage to risk our soldiers to secure the lives of the Palestinian civilians so they can move peacefully from the northern part to the southern part. Take a look at this. This is the Israeli tanks, and look at the thousands with white flags marching uninterruptedly, peacefully, without being attacked, all the way from the north to the south. This, a month after the massacre, this is the picture you have to understand. Gazans are abandoning Hamas, leaving that area, not willing to be human shields anymore. I've got testimonies of fistfights and a lot of physical confrontations between Hamas people in some bomb shelters and the civilians who said, we're out of here. They wouldn't let them go. In some cases, Hamas put booby trap blockades, and when the civilians tried to reach and move it, they blew up. Diabolic, demonic, satanic, that's who they are. They don't care. In fact, take a look at what their leader said about how many people must die in order for Hamas. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, whose net worth is billions of dollars, he's now in Qatar. He said, women, children, elderly must die in Gaza to help our fight against Israel. That's what he said. And that's the tragedy in this whole thing. There are millions of people around the world that do not know that. Millions of people that are fed by TikTok. TikTok, that is the best way to manipulate the minds of our youngsters. It's all manipulated and orchestrated by China. It is also funded by Iran and Russia to create misinformation, disinformation, to destabilize Western governments, Western societies in the free world. And that is why we see the thousands of people that are marching in the streets of Berlin, of Paris, of Rome, of London, and of Boston, New York, Los Angeles, and more. That's what we have. They don't know the truth. They believe the lie. They believe the propaganda that is sold to them through TikTok and other means. Now, I also want you to understand that as we move into Gaza by the thousands of our soldiers, we're talking about infantry and engineering corps, we're talking about tanks, we're talking about paratroops, and we're talking about people, people from the sea and from the air, of course. We find more and more and more war crimes conducted by Hamas. We find rocket launchers and shafts of tunnels in hospitals and clinics, in kindergartens and schools, in playgrounds, in mosques, name it. Look at this playground. Right there, we found rocket launchers. In fact, just a few minutes ago, the IDF spokesperson uploaded a video from today, that shows a Ferris wheel, shows some playground for children. And take a look at this video. It's very disturbing. See, the soldiers are there. They understand that this very innocent place is not that innocent. As they move into this area, that's why, by the way, it takes us time to move inch by inch. Look at this. This is the Ferris wheel that was built on top of one Jewish town that used to be there before 2007. Take a look at this shaft of a terror tunnel that we just exposed. Right next to it, you see, this is a terror tunnel. From these places, they shoot rockets, they shoot anti-tank missiles, they shoot mortar shells, they throw grenades, and they just kill people. And that's what we're dealing with. These are troops. Our troops are moving with dogs that are finding explosives. We're moving literally inch by inch because we are talking about the largest terrorist um, base on planet Earth, the most booby trap place on planet Earth. Every place we go to, we find hundreds of shafts of tunnels. We found tons of weapons, of maps. We took over some of their headquarters. We found maps. We found tunnels. We found rockets and hand grenades. And look, I'm telling you, for every $10 they receive in aid, 9 went to terrorism, and only 1 maybe went to their own people. Unbelievable. We've never seen so many. We knew about tunnels, but we didn't know they have that many shafts in so many places. The tunnels under the ground goes for miles, but we didn't know they have literally every 20, 40 meters a shaft. The shafts are in every other house. Over 25,000 houses were already destroyed, and we're still finding more and more and more. Most of the Gazans were actually living on rockets and explosives and terror tunnels. Unbelievable. All they did for the last 20 years is store up more weapons and more rockets and more explosives, and their children and their women and their sick people in their hospital, all of that were the human shields. Now, make no mistake, folks, right now, the Israeli military is getting closer and closer and closer to the 3 main hospitals, because we know that this is the headquarters. By the way, take a look at this Qatari hospital. We found, of course, we get a lot of intelligence from the terrorists that we find alive, apart from the hundreds that we've killed so far. But this what you see right now is the courtyard of the Qatari Hamad Hospital. That's a shaft of a terror tunnel. I don't know if we have a video, but we surely have those photos you can see. And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about how Hamas is using civilians. And we find more and more of those. We found launchers that are directly attached to the electric wires are leading into a mosque. So the launcher is outside. The person that activates the launch is inside the mosque. They think that we don't know. We decided to take off the gloves and we destroy mosques because they're not anything but terror bases. Now, we do not destroy hospitals, and that's why we still have left those 3 main hospitals intact. But our soldiers are advancing because we're going to take over the hospitals. And once we get there, we're going to go and get into those tunnels and pull those leaders out. Now, I want you to know, while we do not bomb hospitals, they do bomb hospitals. And our hospital in this town of Ashkelon, Barzilai, has been bombed almost every other day. And the damages to our hospitals are not being shown because this is something we don't want to show to the world. Obviously, Israeli hospitals, are strategic, and we do not want to show what happened. But I can tell you, the Barzilai hospital is targeted and is damaged. And unlike us, that we do not touch any hospital, we destroy things around. We try to get the civilians away so they don't stay there once we enter that compound. Within not anything more than 72 hours, we're going to reach the Shifa hospital and the Indonesian hospital and the Qatari hospital. And all of those hospitals, we've proven to the world, they were built on tunnels when they were constructed. In fact, the Indonesian hospital, we have pictures of when before the hospital was built. The Qatari hospital, the same. These are fairly new hospitals that were built on top.
Let's keep on going here. Yeah, I want to share. This is from an Arab journalist and TV anchor in Israel. Let me share what she has to say, just so you understand what's going on. Okay, here we go.
53 days of war, and we understand that it's only the beginning. Not because I know when the war is going to end, but because it's the beginning of the new reality that we're facing. And the new reality is an astonishing fact. Truth doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. The only thing that matters is what each and every individual with 10,000 followers think is the truth. We were foolish to believe that after World War II, the world will never forget. At least back then, people could use the excuse that they didn't know. And now, what you're really saying is not that you don't know. What you're really saying is that you just don't want to see, that you're not interested to see the brutal images that the terrorists took by themselves, that the terrorists filmed themselves, killing, murdering, torturing innocent civilians. You see and watch the images, and yet you choose to say that it's a lie. You need a bigger proof to actually believe that women were raped and human beings were beheaded by Hamas terrorists. And on top of that, if you finally come to the conclusion that these atrocities actually happened, you justify it. You justify it by saying that they are a resistance movement that is trying to free their people and give them self-determination. Giving their people self-determination by murdering, slaughtering, raping, and kidnapping innocent children, women, and men from their homes. Did you ask yourselves what these self-determination fighters did with all the millions of dollars that they got throughout the years? Did you ask yourselves what benefits did their own people get from all that money? Welfare? Health? Education? Did you ask yourselves why the majority of their people are suffering from poverty? Did you ask yourselves where is the leadership of these self-determination fighters? Why they are staying in luxurious hotels, enjoying life of satiety and comfort while their own people are suffering? I'll tell you why. And I'll quote member of Hamas political bureau, Musa Abu Marzouk. The tunnels built in the Gaza Strip were meant to protect Hamas and not the residents of the Strip. It is the responsibility of the UN to protect them. Basically admitting that these self-determination fighters are only protecting themselves and not their own people. Shame on us. Shame on us that we raised a generation that is not putting a question mark and seeking for the truth. Shame on us that we raised a generation that is more interested in clickbait than in the truth. Shame on us that we raised a generation that is not faithful to facts and choosing to be humanitarian only in certain circumstances. Shame on the world that is waiting once again that history will say, you knew. You knew, and you chose silence. Shame on women. Shame on international rights women organizations. Shame on feminists that stand silent in front of bodies of raped women and with this chilling silence, basically saying, maybe you were raped, but this is part of a legitimate resistance. Shame on the international community that is choosing willingly to prove the phrase that history will always repeat itself. This is pure hate. This is pure racism. This is pure anti-Semitism. But here's one fact that has been proven throughout history. When you choose terror, terror will choose you back. When you stand next to terror, it will seek you and hunt you down. When you stand on the wrong side of history, it will always, always come back and remind you how wrong you are. But remember one thing. At the end of the road, after a long, painful, hard fight, the truth will always, always win.
Okay, there you have it.
53.
There's the Arab collaborator with the Zionists, okay? She's a traitor to the Muslim cause because she believes in not raping and mutilating Israeli women. So she's a collaborator. She's an evil Zionist. Pathetic. All right, let me share one more. Okay, here we go. All right, here's the leaders of Hamas. So the blood of the women, children, elderly. I'm not saying that this blood is calling for your help. We are the ones who need this blood. It awakens within us revolutionary spirit. Awakens within us resolve. Awakens within us the spirit of challenge. Pushes us to move forward. Okay, there we go. They need the blood of women and children, elderly. They need their blood to inspire their terrorist fighters so they can be martyrs, killing innocent civilians. Okay, here we go. Let's read. This is another Hamas official, Ghazi Hamad. Israel is a country, there's no place, we must remove that country. Security, military potential, political catastrophe. The Arab and Islamic nation, we're not ashamed to say this. Teach Israel a lesson. The Al-Aqsa flood is just the first time. There'll be a second, third, fourth, because of determination, resolve, capabilities to fight. Do we have to pay a price? Yes, we're ready to pay it. We're called nation of martyrs. We are proud to sacrifice martyrs. We did not want to harm civilians. Yeah, right. But there are complications on the ground. There was a party in the area with civilian population. It's a large area across 40 kilometers. The occupation is coming to an end. Talking about all the Palestinian lands. Does that mean annihilation of Israel? Yes, of course. The existence of Israel is illogical. The existence of Israel causes pain, blood. It is Israel, not us. We are the victims of occupation. October 7th, 10th, October 1 million. Everything we do is justified. Okay, there you have it. The mass murder of civilians was just an accident. I mean, the terrorist martyrs were going to the Islamic heaven with 72 virgins. They were filming their rape and mutilation and cutting off heads of women and children on their GoPro cameras, and they were proud of it. All right, look, this is coming to your country soon, okay? Well, it's already been coming to many, Europe for sure. Here, let's read. Daily Jihad in France. Okay, here we go. An Islamist shouting Allahu Akbar on December 2nd stabbed a German tourist to death near the Eiffel Tower. The murderer again shouting Allahu Akbar, then attacked 2 more people, seriously wounding them. Paris, December 2nd. 2023, a man shouting Allah Akbar, Allah's the greatest, stabbed a German tourist walking along the Seine near the Eiffel Tower, an area considered safe. On the way to the hospital, the victim died. The murderer, again shouting Allah Akbar, attacked 2 more people, seriously wounding them before the police arrested him. A government press weekly quickly mentioned that the killer was a French citizen born in France with the exceedingly French first name of Armand. Then reality struck. Armand was indeed born in France in 1997, but his original first name was Iman. Until 2003, when his Iranian parents who had fled the Islamic Republic became French citizens and changed his name to Armand. In 2015-16, he proclaimed his allegiance to the Islamic State and made contact on social networks with many Islamists who had perpetuated terror attacks in France in that period, and he planned a terrorist attack in Paris. Okay, I think you get the point. Look, this has already come. I could give you other examples. Here, one more example. Okay. Although acts filled with Islamic hatred against non-Muslims are becoming more and more numerous, most are passed over in silence. Some, however, are so disgusting that the mainstream media cannot ignore them. The murder in Marseille, for instance, of Laura Pommier and Moran Harel, 2 young students slaughtered and disemboweled with a butcher's knife by an illegal immigrant, Ahmed Hanachi, in front of a horrified crowd in 2017. Similarly, again in Marseille, Mohamed El, radicalized drug dealer in 2022, slit the throat of Albin Gervais, a military doctor, in front of his 2 young children while he's picking them up from school. Butchering a father in front of his children. Anyway, I cannot keep on reading this. Okay. You know, it makes me want to vomit. Okay. So look, some of you don't care about Israel, that's fine, but it's coming to your country, okay? Then you'll start to care about the issue. That's fine. Better late than never. Okay, let's talk about America now. Okay. Here we go.
My name is Eyal Yacobi, and I am a proud American studying at the University of Pennsylvania.
My name is Jonathan Frieden, and I'm currently a student at Harvard Law School.
My name is Bella Ingber. I am a junior at NYU.
My name is Talia Khan. I am an undergraduate alumna of MIT and a current graduate student at MIT.
I talk to my Jewish friends on campus every day. They tell me how afraid they are to go to class. They share hate messages they are receiving from other students on social media, including comparing Jews to Nazis. And they ask us, and they ask me, for safety advice because of the lack of effective communication from the university.
A bomb threat against Hillel, a swastika spray painted, the Hillel and Chabad houses vandalized, a professor posting the armed wing of Hamas's logo on Facebook, a Jewish student accosted, Jews are Nazis, etched adjacent to Penn's Jewish fraternity house.
Since October 7th, the unmistakable anti-Semitism that I've experienced on campus is reminiscent of the Jew hatred I've heard about from my grandparents, Holocaust survivors, who experienced firsthand the deafening silence of their neighbors in Poland and Germany when the Nazis first rose to power.
This is the same climate of anti-Semitism that has led to massacres of Jews throughout the centuries. This is not just harassment. This is our lives on the line.
Okay, there you have it. This is on the American college campuses, which they're very compassionate. I mean, if you murder someone by dead naming them, by using the wrong pronoun and shattering their whole existence because you thought that they were a boy or a girl, they really will defend you. But if you call for the genocide of fellow American students who happen to be Jewish, then you can go to hell. Okay? You can go to hell. We don't care about them. Okay, this about a Christian, Arab Christian in the Israeli Defense Force.
בלילה הראשונה בצבא כמעט ולא דיברתי, כי פחדתי שאנשים שאיתי לא יקבלו אותי, אבל ביום שני שפגשתי את החברים שלי בחדר וסיפרתי להם על עצמי, הם קיבלו אותי בצורה שאני לא אשכח בחיים. אני עדיל, בת 21, נוצרה ישראלית. אני גדלתי בכפר מעורב, שבו גם נמצאים נוצרים, מוסלמים ודרוזים בצפון ישראל. בכיתה י' התחלתי להסתכל יותר על הארץ ואיך האנשים חיים בארץ, ושם ראיתי את החשיבות לשרת במדינה שהיא מהגנת עליי, על המשפחה שלי, ונותנת לי את כל הזכויות שלי, ושם הרגשתי שהמחויבות לעשות את מה שכולם עושים ולתת כמה שאפשר למדינה שלי. אני הראשונה שהתגייסתי מהמשפחה, והמשפחה מאוד גאה בי. בפעם הראשונה שחזרתי הביתה אחרי שבועיים, כולם חיבקו אותי, וזה היה כאילו אחד הרגעים שכאילו אני גם לא אשכח בחיים שלי. אני מרגישה קשר מאוד חזק ביני לבין העם היהודי. האמת שתמיד הרגשתי קשר מסוים, וכשהגעתי לבה"ד 1 הרגשתי את הקשר הזה בצורה יותר גדולה. כשהגענו לשבוע הסד"ח, שבו אנחנו נמצאים שבוע שלם בירושלים, הרגשתי חיבור שהוא לא רגיל. מהרגע הזה אמרתי שאני אחרי הצבא או שאני עושה שליחות להסביר מה זה מדינת ישראל, כי רוב האנשים רואים את המדינה בצורה אחרת לגמרי. ופה אנחנו, כי אנחנו חיים במדינה, אנחנו רואים כמה היא מדינה שוויונית וכמה אנחנו חיים בכל כך טוב, שמה שאנשים מחוץ לא רואים את התמונה הזאת. ואחרי ששמעתי ניצולת שואה מדברת על השואה, אמרתי שאני חייבת לבקר בפולין, אבל על מדים, שמישהו נוצרי בצבא יהודי שהולך לפולין, זה כאילו אני חושבת שזה אחד הדברים הכי חשובים, שכאילו אני מבחינתי אני רוצה להשיג אותם. בתור קצינה בצבא למדתי איך לקבל את השונה, לקבל כל כך הרבה תרבויות שנמצאים במדינת ישראל, וכולם מתאחדים ביחד במקום אחד שהוא הצבא, ושם אני למדתי כל כך כמה זה תרבות וכמה כל אחד שונה ואיך באמת לקבל אותו, ואני ממש אוהבת שהצבא...
Okay, so I think you see the point here. She's an Arab Christian. 20% of the citizens of Israel are Arabs, and they serve in the parliament, in the Supreme Court, and also in the the defense force. And when I see her, I see kind of a peace militia woman. Okay, there are a lot. There are 300,000, 400,000 civilians who've been mobilized to defend their nation. These are civilians who are fighting to defend their country, and I think they're fighting for something that is connected with the rights that we believe as well, that are in the Constitution.